Okay, tutorial number 2. I'm about to show you how to import your photos that you took in your photography project to your project and how to record your voiceover. So, step number 1 is you go back to your project. Everybody by now should have started a project. And if you don't know where to find it, you click on WeVideo, go into the tab that says Projects, and find My Project. There it is. I can double click it, open it up, and here you are. So, like I said, there are stock video images that you can use for your project. However, you need at least 5 of your own photography original photos for this piece, as well as your video is going to look so much better if you use archival photos, photos from your family, or any videos that you've taken that relate to what you're saying in your poem. Um, so the way that you add in your own photos is you click on this tab that says My Media, and you go to this tab that says Import right there. So I'm going to click on Import. I don't know if you can see it in my screen, but there's a blue button that says Browse to Select. Once you click on Browse to Select, it's going to bring you to your desktop. So find your photos. Your photos should be downloaded. You should have downloaded them from your email if you emailed them to yourself, or you should have them on your Google Drive ready to go for this project. So right now I'm going to find my photos. I see a couple photos I want to bring in. I took a bunch of pictures of couches. If I hold down the shift button and click on multiple photos while holding shift, it will bring in a couple photos all at once. So we're back to this, and then scroll down and you're going to see, oh, there's my photos right there. So there's one of my couches that I took. It takes a minute to load. So there's another one. Okay, so the first step in this project is to add in your photos on your timeline into video track number 1 in the order that you want them to appear. So you should be looking at your audio video script right now and deciding the order of your photos. So maybe this is the first sofa, that picture that I use. I just click on it and I drag it down to video track 1. Okay, then maybe the next clip that I'm using is
There was once a lovely...
That's not what I'm using. That's voiceover that I've added. Maybe it's this clip. So I'm going to drag this one down to my timeline. If you don't know how to do this, go back and watch tutorial number 1. Okay, so get a couple clips on your timeline in order that you want. Now, say like you brought in your 5 original photos and you still need some more photos for your project. That's when you can use stock media. So then you can click on the Images tab right here, and you can start looking for the images that you need to tell your story. So maybe you're telling the story of somebody walking in the rain, or walking. I would write walking, or maybe feet. Maybe I'll type in feet. Just use keywords to find what image you need, and make sure it's an image, not an animation. Okay, oh, that's kind of nice. Maybe your piece is about walking in the sand or being on vacation. Drag it down. Okay. All right, so you get all your images on your timeline. That's the first step. Now, just some tricks. If you can't see what you're doing, let me move this away. Scroll down to the bottom of your screen, and there's this little guy down here. This is your magnifying glass. You can magnify your timeline so you can see your clips a little bit bigger on the screen. I like to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so then you can see what I have 4 clips on the timeline. Then this is your blue playhead button. Scroll it back to the beginning. This is how you can play your images. And notice there's this big black gap right here. You don't want any gaps in your video, because otherwise your audience is just looking at black. So if I want to slide these clips back to the beginning of my timeline, if I put my cursor anywhere outside of the clips on the timeline, the gray timeline, and click and drag, I can highlight all my clips and then slide them back so that they're at the beginning. Okay, and again, I showed you in the last piece how to trim clips. If they're too long, you just put your playhead where you want it to end and click I on your keyboard. Make sure you highlight the clip that you want to cut and click I for out, and it will trim your clips up. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight these and slide them back. Maybe I want the next clip to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to click my playhead where I want it. Usually about 3 to 5 seconds is a good length for a photo. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click O for out, and it's going to automatically cut my clips so that they're the length that I want. That's the first tutorial. So again, go back and look at that if you don't know how to do it. So there we go. Now, say like your video, your clip is not the size that you want. Maybe this couch, I want it to be a little bit bigger. If I double click on any clip, you're going to get a bunch of different options here. This is where you can do special effects and things like that. Here's the scale button. This allows you to increase or decrease the size of your photos. So if I want my photo to be a little bit bigger, I can increase the size right there. And then I can always come over to the player preview and drag it to where I want it to be. So maybe I want it to be all the way to the edges of my screen so there's no black. I can just increase the scale and drag it up like that. And that looks better to me. Once you like, you can also rotate your photos here if they're upside down. That's going to help you do that. And then if you want the perspective to be different, you could flip flop it. So if I want to look at it from the other way, upside down. And if you make a mistake and you want to reset it, just click on this little loopy loop here, reset. There you go. Okay, so that's all you need to know for that. Later on, we'll go into these tabs. That's how you can change like the speed and add color correction and all that. But if you like something, click save. Okay, now I've got my photo. It looks good. I've got my other photo. You're going to have a whole timeline full of these. Your pieces need to be about 45, like 45 seconds long. So, because you're reading your entire poem. Okay, so the first step is just to get all your clips in order on your timeline. All right, let me see what the next question is. So you've imported your photos and you've dragged them onto video track number 1. You've resized any images that you want to. I've showed you how to set in and out points to lengthen or shorten your clips. The other thing you can do to shorten a clip is if you're highlighted a clip and you hover over the edge of it, see how my arrow turns into a double arrow? I can just shorten it back and forth like that. And those numbers again tell you how long. So that's like a 3-second clip. There we go. Okay, all your clips are here. You've checked your audio video script. It looks good. You've resized any photos that you want to make bigger or smaller on your screen. You've saved those changes. Now you're ready to record voiceover. So the way that you record voiceover is you come up to where it says My Media. And next to where you imported all your photos is where you can record, okay? Actually, you're going to be hitting narrate. Don't hit record. You're going to hit narrate. That's your voiceover. So hit narrate. And this is where you're going to start recording. So make sure you're going to each get 15 minutes to have a recording session. If you don't record your voiceover in that time, it's going to be homework because we don't have enough time for all 30 of you per class to be out recording voiceover. And you need a quiet place. So make sure you're aware of background noises and that you're in a quiet space. So the way that you record is you just hit record. Okay, it's going to give you 3 seconds and you're going to start reading your poem, right? Wait till you see this button. Once upon a time, there was a couch, and that couch was out in the screen, and oh my gosh, it's going so fast, and I'm getting distracted. Okay, and then you hit stop to stop recording, and this is where you can play back what you recorded. So if I hit play right here, I can listen.
Wait till you see this button. Once upon a time, there was a couch, and that couch was out in the screen, and oh my gosh, it's going so fast, and I'm getting distracted. Okay.
Okay, so here's my suggestion. And then you can always hit record again. If that was a terrible recording, you can hit record again and do it over. Now, what I would recommend, because your poems are so long, is to record it in sections. So your timing of your video is not going to be perfect. You can go back and adjust the lengths on your photos, but all you need to do is focus right now on what you're saying, and don't worry about matching the speed of your clips because you'll go back and adjust those later. So say like the first line of my poem was, once upon a time, there was a beautiful couch that was left out on the street. That is the first section I'm going to record. So I'm going to hit record again. And it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to replace? Yes, we're sure. Wait till the countdown starts until you see the numbers. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful couch, and it was left out on the street. And I went and rescued this couch. Okay, that is my first clip of VoiceOver, I'm going to hit save. Okay. Now that's going to save that chunk. And notice WeVideo automatically generates a new track for you. This is your VoiceOver track. Okay. So that track right there that you just recorded is right here. So I'm going to hit spacebar to play this back.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful couch, and it was left out on the street. And I went and rescued this couch.
Okay. So that's just one section of my voiceover. So I would record in sections like that. Now I'm going to pull this to the beginning of my track, and maybe this voiceover is supposed to line up with this video, which is your B-roll, right? The video track, anything you see is called B-roll. Your audio is your A-roll, your voiceover. I know I need this clip to be longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight by clicking anywhere in the gray area of my timeline. I'm going to highlight the other clips and slide them back. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this clip and I'm going to hover over the edge and make it the length that I need it. Okay, so now that's my first track of voiceover, right? I got my first line and that worked, right? So I'm going to watch it.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful couch, and it was left out on the street. And I went and rescued this couch.
Okay, good. Playback, spacebar to stop. Now, do you notice these little waveforms, right? Those are called waveforms. This is what sound is measured in waveforms. Now, I can see that's my voice talking right there. That's where I start talking. This flat line right here means I'm not talking at all. So I don't need the beginning of that voiceover. So this is when you can go in and you can edit. Now, you can hover over the end and shorten that clip from the front like that. So it starts
Once
right
upon
away.
a time.
Or if you want to use, if it's easier for you with the playhead, you can use the scissor button, click scissors, and then it's going to cut it in two and select the part that's, you're not talking. It's a flat line, right? So delete that part. And then I can drag this voiceover back. And that's how you can go ahead and do, like, if you want to go ahead and make edits to your voiceover, okay? And I can drag this back. What I would recommend though is try to record each section so that it is just the way you want it, so you don't have to do too much editing on your voiceover. Like say like you wanted to trim out a part of this voiceover, you can always go in and make cuts in here, but that's a little bit more advanced editing. If you get to that place and you need help in class, I can show you how to do that. But I would recommend when you're recording, like say like you're ready to record your next line of your poem, you want to sound natural too, recording your poem. So don't do it too choppy where you notice that you're recording it in these short sections. Read to a good pace, to a place where you want to stop. So maybe my next part of my poem is about, I'm going to hit narrate again. My next part is about the winter, right? So I'm going to record as much as I can and make sure you're thinking about background noises. So, like people talking, if there's people in the room, there are going to be two of you in a room. So, you just have to kind of be mindful of that. But also be careful of page turning. If you're using your paper and you're rustling paper, you're going to hear it in your soundtrack. And you want to make sure you don't have that noise because you can't edit out page turns. But you can edit if you make a mistake, like you say the wrong word, you can edit those things out. But like I said, record until you get a good recording. So here's my next recording. And that couch sat outside for so many seasons. By the winter, it had been covered in white snow. And somebody else came and rescued this couch. Okay, then you stop. Again, listen back to it until you like it.
And that couch sat outside.
And if you don't like it, if you make a lot of mistakes, hit record again. Okay, but if you like it, hit save. Now watch what happens. This is going to drop a second track of voiceover down to track 2. I don't actually want you to have multiple tracks of voiceover, so just pull it back up. Pull it up to track 1 so it's your voiceover is all on one track. Okay? WeVideo automatically will make new voiceover tracks, but I don't want you to do that. Okay? So again, you see this little flat line. This is where I'm just waiting to talk. So I can put my cursor here. And if I want to start it right where I start talking, again, I can hit I for in, which means that it will trim the beginning of that voiceover. I for in. There. Now drag it back so it'll start. So this is what it's going to sound like.
Rescued this couch. And that couch sat outside for so many seasons. By the winter, it had been covered in white snow. And
Okay, do you hear the and I want to edit out the and so I'm going to go bring this back here. I'm going to zoom into my timeline, and I'm going to press spacebar to play and spacebar to stop right before I hear the and the
it had been covered in white snow.
I'm going to press spacebar here because I know that's where I stopped that, and I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to listen for the
And some
and then I'm going to there's where the ends. I'm just using spacebar to play, spacebar to stop. Use my scissor. This clip right here is my and. So if I play this right here,
and
that's the part I don't want. So I'm going to click on it and delete. Now, remember, if you drag this back, don't drag it from the double arrows because that's just adding, you're just adding your and back in. You want to drag it from the middle of the clip back. Okay?
white snow. Somebody else came.
And you kind of hear a little in there, so you're going to get, you can go and do more fine-tune editing. I'm moving things forward. I'm extending the length of this clip so it matches that voiceover, okay, and so on and so forth. When you guys are recording your voiceover, I don't want you to be adjusting the length of your B-roll. You're going to do that in class. All I want you to do is to record your narration. So get your narration recorded, and you can always go back and trim and make it exactly what you want, okay? I will show you in another tutorial how to change the volume. This is, if you double click on a clip, here's your volume level. You can fade in and out on clips. This little 3 buttons right here will, if you need to delete a track, don't delete it actually, don't delete your track. Well, actually, if your voiceover, if it's making multiple tracks, you can delete the ones that you don't want. So I only want 1 track of voiceover. So there you go. So you're gonna have your tracks voiceover number 1. And then finally, you want to pay attention when you're recording your voiceover to your emphasis on your words and your intonation and your performance elements that you learned in Miss Nelson's class, so that it doesn't just sound like you're reading off the page. Because your A projects are going to be those that you sound like you're passionate about what you're saying. So be thinking about how you're delivering that message. Okay? That is tutorial number 2, voiceover, adding voiceover. So make sure you sign up for a day to record your voiceover in class.